Well, with Ribbled nearly done, I've got to line up my next Moonstone project. And for the first time, I'm moving away from the Dominion faction and moving over to the Shade faction. Now, Dominion are chaos, you know, they're goblins and trolls and what have you. Shade are the undead. So what we've got here is pirate captain, a fairy, and a crab guy. All right, and they look really interesting, as you can see here. What's going to be interesting about doing this pirate fairy is what I'm going to do about the wings. And I've just said on my Vespa one, the only time I'm going to be using the colour shift paints now will be on fairy wings, so I get to try that out for the first time. Zip across to Chesapeake, who is a guy whose top half is a crab, and on top of his shell seems to be an awful lot of clutter, so that's going to be a fun challenge. He's got big lips. But the number one attraction for me is Commodore DeLahaye, who is a ghost. And look at this. How nifty is that, to actually get across the idea that he's a ghost? He's actually in two parts and you can see right the way through him. It's such a simple idea, but very, very well done. So, as is customary, it will be opener up time. And in this one, we have got, yeah, there's the cards. And the bases must be in there somewhere. So this is Crab Guy. There he is. Ah, so he's on a slaughter base. I thought they would be two completely separate parts, but that's good. They join together by a slaughter base. So you won't have to worry about just the placement of his left leg with the rest of him. But look at that face. Excellent stuff. And yeah. All right, so there's the wings. Okay, let's take them out the bags. Oh, one wing is already attached to it, so you only have to attach one wing. Okay, let's take them out the bags, give them a wash, assemble, and see what we think. All right, scrap that idea. I thought before I give them a bath, I've taken them out their bags, and I thought it'd be best to show you all the parts before I start assembling. So yeah, Bridget, the detail is amazing considering the size of her. She is very, very small. That's going to be fun. And yeah, she has a slaughter base. You have this, I guess this is water, but there's like water spirits, skulls, the undead coming up out of the water. But basically that's slots. Well, it slots in there, and then this piece will go in like so, giving you one miniature. All right, I think my old habit of doing sub-assemblies isn't going to work here. I think I've just got to suck it up and glue them together and paint them as a whole. So that's her. That's the good captain. You have two sizes of bases here, and I thought the big base would be for the captain, but no, he has his little slaughter base and he fits fine. So the big base is for the big crab guy, and these are the parts. So this is his head. There's his lovely face, right? And onto that area there goes all of that stuff, right? And then his legs, this isn't a slaughter base. I think he goes on that because of the size of him, but that won't fit down in there. So I've got to do the usual plastic card on there and glue into that. But basically, that's his legs and half his torso, which glue up, get him the right way round, into this area here, because that's the rest of his torso. And then the left arm goes in that slot, which is that arm, and then the right arm, once it's assembled, goes into that there. So and I think with him as well, I'm going to have to paint them. It's going to be really tricky to try and blue tack that all together and keep it together and paint it, then take it apart and put it back together again and everything. I'm just going to, as I say, suck it up and just do them as 3 whole figures. Right, let's show these off in order of annoyance from least to most. So there she is. The main front part is glued to the base. The top of this water spout has her left arm. So when I finally come to glue them together, I've got to make sure that that works. So the rest of her and the wings and that lower water spout, I just blue tacked behind there, and I blue tacked her wing on, because it's going to get very tricky to get in there. So even though I said I'm going to glue them all together, no, just to help me out on that wing, I'm going to paint that separately. All right, so she was the least annoying. There was the least amount of cursing while putting her together. In the middle is Crab Guy, and the problem I had there is, number one, getting him to glue to the plastic card I've put on his base. As I keep saying, super glue works, but it takes its time for some reason. No, the main annoyance other than that is, for some reason, yeah, blue tack, white tack will not stick, or will barely stick to this resin. And it's an awful lot of muttering. You get a piece, you push it into like his arm socket, and it sticks to your finger, but it won't stick to the bloody resin. So you think, all right, I'll stick a blob onto the end of my scalpel and put it in place. No, it won't come off. In the end, I had to like lay him down, have a blob on my scalpel, put it in place, and with my other hand have a cocktail stick and just keep going until it finally would just lay in there. So it's a bit sloppy. You can see there's a whole line of it down there, but he's ready for primer. No, the most swearing, and I do feel sorry for the neighbours, but it's, oh man, it was this fella. So when I was trimming the slotter base to get him to sit in, his peg leg snapped off the base, right? And it's like, okay, not too bad. You may have noticed in the last bit of the video I did, up here around about his waist area, there was a bridging piece of resin, which was great because it was holding the two together. All right, so the problem was I super glued him in place, the peg leg in place, waited a few hours, and then went to sever that little bridging piece of resin. As soon as I did that, the super glue gave way, even though I'd waited a couple of hours. And it's been a right pig to get him to stand up, because he's not held in place now by that bridging bit of resin. To get him to stand up in the right place, I had to support his hand with a pot of green stuff, and I had my trusty, well, I don't know what you call them, but this fella was behind him, holding him in place. And what I've done is, this is now a good what, 30 hours later, and it seems to have done the trick, but I don't trust it. I've got to remember not to try and pick him up by his head. I've got to keep trying to pick him up by his left leg. I think what I'll do is, once I've primed these, I'm going to glue with a lot of super glue. Like the last time I was near him, I smeared super glue all around that peg leg, but I'm going to put a stone or something up against the peg leg and make sure that he's got a bit more support rather than just being attached by the bottom of the peg leg to the slaughter base. Actually glue him like the side of his peg leg to a stone, so there's a bit more of an attachment point, because if I don't do that, this guy's never going to survive any sort of like transporting. So I've calmed down now because it's like 30 hours later. So next step then is to take them outside, prime them in grey, then prime them in white. Okay, after the grey and white primer, off we go. The boss man gets a coat of pallid witch flesh, which I'll be washing with a grey contrast paint to just go down into the details, and then I can dry brush him. These are all spirits, so I guess they could be ghosts, they could be zombies, they could be anything. And so with this fella, I've decided to use necrotic flesh. Seems suitable. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash that with a fleshy tone. So it's a fleshy, greeny shade. Right now I'm deliberating on what to do for the actual shell of his crab part. Okay. Didn't show you last time, but yeah, his netting and all that, all the bits that are in there, I've used gargoyle grey. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in there, and when I can find an object, just pick it out in a different colour, and then I'll do a combining wash once it's all done. I hadn't realised that it looks like there's a map rolled up there. It's not like a rune stone there. So I've got to pick all those details out. And yeah, and then with the girl, I figure the thing I've got to do first is paint her wings black, and then paint them gloss. And then I can put the colour shift paints on, because as you see, her hair and everything is over the top of the wing. So with her, I've got to start with the wings and work, you know, kind of like from the back forwards. So it's quite a sizable jump forward here. My initial idea was to have his jacket red, but I have a lot of red at the moment on my trolls and goblins, so I've restricted the red to his trousers, and I've gone with what the box art has, which is like a turquoisey sort of colour, and that's Citadel's contrast Achillean green. It's not very green, is it? And this is the second go at it, because the first go I put it on neat and it was far too dark. So this is it. I overcoated it with white, and I've thinned it down with some contrast medium, and that's worked well. I was going to have everything that you see yellow. I was going to have gold, but would you have a gold effect on a spirit? So again, I'm copying the box art and have gone yellow, but by having them yellow, that's stopped me having the yellow eyes. I think I'm going to have red eyes, make him a lot more demonic. You can see I've picked the eye sockets out in, I think that's Targor something or other contrast paint, which is much darker. So I just got to pick those out in white, then silver, then some Tamiya clear red. I think I'll do there. All right. I've got to tidy up the yellows, highlight the yellows, and he seems to have some sort of like jewel things on his gauntlets. All right, but he's cracking right along. The crabby one, I was going to go for like an undead skin, seeing as he is a spirit, but it was just too dull. So what that is me trying to kind of replicate real crab flesh if you eat a crab. So it's pallid witch flesh I'm building on up, and I'm going to finish with white. I'm not keen on that lip. I think I'm going to put some Carospore Crimson on it, but it's it's a bit creepy, that lip. For the shell, I've this is much brighter than the artificial light's making this look brighter than it actually is. Yeah, I googled crab shells, and I liked the ones that were kind of like orange, but in the center was red. So I've done all that. I don't know why really, because the packaging, the big netted haul that he's got is going to go on top. And here you can see these are mainly contrast paints as well. I'm just going around and picking them out, trying not to make them look too similar. I've got to highlight that. He's got like a map there when it's in focus. Got to highlight that more. And there's some like runestone there. So I'm just picking all that out. And then once that's all done, of course, I've got to pick out the netting. That will kind of like combine it all. Yeah, now, here we go. The wings on the fairy. These are colour shift paints. In fact, this one is Psychotic Illusions, and I chose this because it looks there the lightest, doesn't it? It's not, because they're going over a black. They are quite dark, but the more coats I put on, the brighter it's becoming. I think this is the second coat, might be the third, but I'm going to put another coat on. I want to lighten them up. Let's show you her with her other wing, like so. And like so. These wings are delaying the starting on the painting of her, but never mind. So yeah, I think one more coat and we're going to be done with her wings and I can get started. Okay, I think that's about it. Yeah, again, just not having too dull underneath, I've put his shirt is like a blue, navy blue if you like, and I'm just doing his arms and that. I'm going to have to get a fine brush when I'm done with the skin and the blue and pick out all the ropes he seems to be entwined with. Okay, this is rather nifty. Here, I didn't know what that was. This is his left hand and left arm, which goes up in there, right? So his body will be where my finger is, so you won't see the other side of that. But if you turn it over, even though you won't have a chance of seeing it, look, he's got a musket just there. So that's how we are today. I'll come back with more progress, I suppose. So with the wings done, I can start focusing on the fairy. I'm doing her dress in colours that aren't anything like what anybody else has got on. I just got to dry brush her hair. I'm following the box art for her hair. And yeah, just picking out details here, there and everywhere. This is where we are right now with this chap. His eye stalks are looking decidedly rude at the moment. I've decided his lantern is going to be lit, so I've just based that in a yellow. Gone around with a fine brush and I've done all the strapping for his baggage, which is still at this stage. Not looking forward to picking out all that netting. I'm really not. Yeah, here, this is the water spout thing, and of course her hand is there and her arm is there, so I had to paint that. And with this guy, I've painted his eyes silver and then put Tamiya clear red, so they're like a glowing angry red there. And again, I'm just going around here, there and everywhere, just edging things and filling things in. But it won't be long before we're done. Okay, the captain is close enough done that I can start putting scatter material on the base. With this water thing, I've been trying to decide whether the skulls are real skulls, but some of them are stretched and elongated, so it's like they are water phantoms. So what I've done is I've painted it white with one of Gaines Workshop's base whites, washed it with a grey contrast, dry brushed the white and then picked out the highest areas in the whitest white that they do. And onto that now I'm going to put a blue contrast paint to try and be some sort of like spooky water type thing. Okay, so that's that. And crab guy, oh, crab guy's escaping. Crab guy's close enough that I can put the base materials on. Also, I want to do the base materials before putting the arms in, because his arms hang quite low down and that's going to be tricky to paint the base. So I'm going to do that next. But no, it's his eyes. Poor thing. I tried doing it human style-wise, like in the illustration, but he just looks so darn sad. That mouth's not helping either. So you can see I've just blocked in a blue, and I'm going to have the eyes all blue, and I'm going to go for a lighter blue. It's a bit blotchy, as you can see. I've got to tidy it all up, but I'm going to put a lighter blue in the center. It's still going to look sad because of those the eyelids, but what the hey. So yeah, that's where I am. So I'll come back. This netting thing is taking forever to do, but I'm nearly done. So I don't know whether I'll come back finished or there will be a little stage, but you'll know that in about 1 second. And here we go. That's them 3 done. Based, and I've done the base lighter than normal and not put any foliage, kind of like inferring that they're wading on the seashore. So this guy, I'm still not happy with the eyes, but then again, I'm not really happy with the mouth. He's just too sad, isn't he? He's just a sad crab. But it's been good fun doing all the detail on his haul that he's got on his back. Maybe it's not a good enough haul. Maybe that's why he's looking miserable. So that's him done. Thankfully, this joining point of the peg leg for that whole main part of the captain has held, and I haven't felt a need to bolster it with a little boulder or anything. So really pleased how he's come out. And then yeah, this is make or break time with the girly, in that do I do more wings in this effect? And this is kind of the effect you get. I quite like it. So I most probably will go ahead and do more fairies and do them with wings like this, but maybe multicoloured. Maybe the thing to do is paint one bit at a time. Do it again in gloss black, but just do a different colour at a time. Not too sure about the water spectral things that are coming out of the water. I did dry brush them white, and I don't know if you can see there, but I've glossed them to simulate water. I was going to do water on the base as well, but because that was featureless, I'd have to texture it and stuff. So I've just had it that she's coming out of a puddle, basically. She's emerging out of a puddle. But she was great fun to do, and I've enjoyed doing the colour challenges. So all 3 of them are done then. That's my first foray into Moonstone Pirates. I will be returning, but I don't know if next. Right now, it's either the pirate undead troll, Barnacle, I think his name is, or I'm going back to me goblins and having 3 goblins. Whatever I choose, you will be seeing a video on it before long.